Segment is a pharmaceutical company letting thousands of Americans die just so the company can save some money. Part 2 of our series, Blood Betrayal.
It used to be what killed hemophiliacs was literally bleeding to death. Increasingly, though, it's AIDS that's killing this group of people. 2,000
have already died. Many thousand more hemophiliacs were infected by a widely used medication. Reporter Mitch Truswell here joining us now to continue his compelling series called Blood Betrayal.
Jim, when it was determined that certain types of breast implants could be hazardous to women, the government stepped in and, for a time, prevented women from getting them. When the company that makes Tylenol discovered someone was tainting that product with cyanide, they took it off the market. But when health officials thought blood products in this country might be contaminated with HIV, the response was very different.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd like to know the truth to the whole event before I die.
Ken Baxter was 19 years old when he found out he was HIV positive. He and close to 10,000 other hemophiliacs got the virus from a contaminated blood product called Factor VIII. It was the most widely used blood clotting medication for hemophiliacs in the 1980s.
I would like an apology. I would like to know what the truth is. I'd like to see policies to protect people in the future from the blood industry, from blood products, from any organization that's willing to make decisions with people's lives and have them suffer for 8 to 10 years or longer and die as a result from a product they pay a lot of money for. Straight like, you know, they say
Baxter hasn't received an apology and doesn't expect to get one anytime soon. From his perspective, the blood industry has downplayed the tragedy from the very beginning, allowing thousands of hemophiliacs to be infected. He claims blood banks knew of the risk at least 2 years before widespread HIV testing of blood donors began in 1985.
They chose to wait to tell people that they were dangerous. They told themselves and they warned themselves as early as '82 that, yeah, there's a connection between HIV and hemophilia. Maybe we should look at this, but it's a sensitive issue. We don't want to cause a lot of alarm. But they weren't saying that to the consumers. We can stay in the shade.
Ken is still relatively healthy, allowing him to spend lots of time with his twin daughters, Amanda and Melissa. Ken and the girl's mother are no longer together. As Ken fights the disease, he's also provided support to other hemophiliacs also dealing with AIDS. But as time moves on, there is an emotional toll.
The hardest part is I don't cry at funerals anymore. I think I've cried all the tears I can get out. The hardest part is watching children die and people that I want a future for, and I get to know them, and they die. And it's like they run away from me, you know, just like when anybody dies.
Ken is fighting to make sure nothing like this ever happens again.
And the manufacturers knew that was happening for 3 years before they actually
said something about it.
Yeah.
He's collecting signatures for a congressional investigation, finding out when the blood banks and pharmaceutical companies knew there was a risk of HIV-infected blood products, and when they decided to inform hemophiliacs of that risk.
It boils down to, I got to talk about it. For every person that's not talking about it. For every person I've seen die that didn't talk about it. And if nothing happens for 20 years, I know I did everything I could do, and I talked about it. And if I died tomorrow, I talked about it. I didn't die quietly.
In addition to the 10,000 hemophiliacs that are HIV infected or have already died from AIDS, 12% of the partners of hemophiliacs are also infected.
Part 3 tomorrow night, Mitch.
I'll be here.
We look forward to it.
All right.